talking about my experiences. I'm going to be talking about my stories. And in some cases, I'm going to be talking about my own psychic experiences. So let's get started. Our first topic is going to be telepathic cognition. Telepathic cognition is simply explained as when other people send information to another. Information is going from subject B to subject A. The thing is, there's a confusion with telepathic cognition when it initially they understand that they're requesting the information and the information is coming to them. But when people get stressed out from their jobs or overwhelmed by their relationships, their emotions are heightened, or they are experiencing some kind of physical or mental illness that's stressing them out, financial issues, it feels like they're being in a psychic game of dodgeball where they're being pummeled by all this information from all these different people. So they walk into a room, say they're just walking into their local bar. They're calm, they're collect. They walk into the bar, they open the door, and suddenly every person in that bar's emotions or their thoughts are just flying towards the experiencer. Now you can imagine how this can be extremely difficult to deal with on a daily basis, whether it's just dealing with family, dealing with career. It's extremely distracting, and can be downright terrifying because it can provoke panic attacks and it can provoke mental breakdowns, psychotic breaks as well, if it gets bad enough. And what's underlining all of this is a natural psychic ability that isn't being harnessed correctly, that has gone wrong, that has gone completely chaotic and spontaneous. So this individual that's walking into the bar, he's moving table to table, and as he's passing them, he can tell where those thoughts are coming from. He can tell which person those thoughts are coming from, or at least usually the general direction. Are they coming from the side? Are they coming dead on? Are they coming from behind? Understanding the difference between telepathic cognition and severe mental illness like schizophrenia, where you're hearing voices, it's going to present different. And it's usually not going to be paranoid or really just mean content. A lot of schizophrenics, they're hearing voices that are very loud and very mean and very aggressive and are saying awful things about them. Whereas our friend who is walking around the bar right now, he is feeling those people and what those people are thinking. And he's not hearing you're a bad person or you need to go away. He's hearing, I'm thinking about changing careers. Or, I don't know about this bar, maybe we should go to another one. Or look at that guy over there. He is so cute. It's in that first person that they are reading the thoughts of the individuals. It feels like everybody's throwing their emotional trash and baggage at you. It's very alarming. It's very overwhelming. It can cause you to go into a panic. It can cause you to go into a rage. It can cause you to want to shut down and run flying and fleeing out of that bar into your home and become a hermit. You may end up changing your job to be remote work because you just can't handle it in the office anymore. You may no longer go out for social interactions unless it's maybe one person because you just can't handle that bombardment. But the thing is, it's not everybody else throwing their emotions at you. It's you. Deep down in that gentleman's subconscious, he needs to know information. He needs to know what everybody's thinking about him because he has social anxiety. He's always had social anxiety ever since he was a child. He was picked on as a kid, and he had a lot of family issues because of his behavior. He wasn't quite like everybody else. He was just a little bit different. Just enough that people gave him just so much trouble and so much unkindness that it eventually started provoking anxiety. He'd get anxious just thinking about going to school. He'd get anxious about recess. When it was time to go home at the end of the day, that was the best time of the day because he could go home, he'd go to his room, and everything would be quiet again. Until his mom got home, and his dad, and his sister, and his brother. Then it became loud again until everybody went to sleep. Because he was being picked on at school and because he was having difficulties at home, he felt he needed to know how to act, how to be. Because being himself wasn't enough. Being himself was aggravating people. So he had a strong conscious and subconscious need to know what people were thinking of him. Because if he felt if he knew what people were thinking about him, he could adjust himself. He could change himself. He could avoid doing things that aggravate others. Most of us just want to be our authentic selves. But this person, this gentleman, he had to find a way to mask. He had to find a way to be not authentic, not himself. And he couldn't figure it out enough through normal means, talking to people, asking people, how do I do this? How do I not do this? There wasn't enough information for him. And one day, something happened. One day, he got in a fight at school, and it got pretty bad. And he was just destroyed. In that moment, when everything just got the worst it could possibly be, and the stress and the panic and the anger and the sadness all just came together in one big explosion of emotion, he needed to know. He ingrained, I need to know, in his subconscious. And it was deep. And it was strong. And ever since then, every time he goes out, people seem to bombard him with their emotional baggage, their basic thoughts. They build upon each other and clutter and overwhelm. But it's not them that are causing the problem. It's his subconscious. Subconscious that is hell-bent on knowing everything that it could possibly know to protect him from that trauma, that fight, ever happening again, ever. But as the psychic phenomena gets worse, the psychic experiences get worse, his anxiety gets worse. And it's a perpetual problem. One gets worse, the other gets worse, one gets worse, the other gets worse. Until there's just no making sense of it anymore. And he wonders to himself, why? Why am I cursed with this ability to feel and hear everything that I don't want to hear? Because we say psychic abilities are need-based. They only happen when we need them. But the thing is, sometimes they go horribly wrong. So what does this individual do? How does he get that deep, ingrained, I need to know, out of his head for good? Well, first off, the primary goal in counseling would be for him to find a way to be his authentic self again at some point. That's the ultimate goal. To not only be his authentic self, but to find people that he can be his authentic self around. And just be him. Sometimes with these types, it's the lack of self-esteem. It's the lack of self-respect, the lack of self-confidence, which often comes with the depression and the anxiety. That's the fuel that lights this fire. And to put it out, you have to build self-esteem. You have to build self-respect. You have to build self-confidence. And that can take a little time and a lot of guidance. But right off the bat, there's so many things that this gentleman can do. mindfulness. Whether it's mindfulness meditation or just being more mindful. When he walks in that bar again, he's going to walk in and he's going to have those emotions coming towards him, but he's going to know. He's going to be mindful of them. He's going to know that he's the one doing it. And in that moment, he's going to close his eyes and he's going to take a deep breath and he's going to relax his body. He's going to relax his mind. And he's going to sit down. There's emotional regulation strategies to help with the feelings of being overwhelmed. Avoiding places initially that can cause you to be overwhelmed. And slowly desensitizing yourself, but slowly working yourself back into those places, those situations with those people. Meditation is probably one of the largest things you can do, and it doesn't even have to be just sitting meditation. If you have problems sitting still, yoga, tai chi, these are meditation in motion. These can help. These can help calm your mind through this process. Journaling helps immensely as well for those who want to, who can't quite put a name to their emotions, who can't really make sense of what's going on in their head. They can write it down or draw a picture or paint it. Again, there's the need to remove those who facilitate or feed into the worries and fears. Often that is not an option. Sometimes you're stuck with your coworkers, you're stuck with your schoolmates, you're stuck with your family. But if there is a way, that should be found and that should be acted upon. Also, regular physical activity. Those who are anxious and depressed, they can engage in self-neglect and not get enough exercise. Exercise is so important to dealing with stress, dealing with traumas, and calming the mind and the body. So in time, there is hope for that gentleman so that he can walk into that bar any time of the day, any time of the week, any time of the month. And he can just sit down. And if he wants to hear something, he can. But that's another story.